Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Dr. Kate Boyd. I'm a pianist and a professor of piano, and I'm really glad you're here. Today we're talking about sight reading resources for pianists. In another video, I talked about print resources for sight reading, and in this video, I'm going to talk about online sight reading apps. There are basically two categories of online sight reading resources. The first category consists of apps that are for learning how to read notes and facilitating the process of note learning. And the other category consists of apps focused on improving your sight reading and your facility at the instrument once you already know how to read the notes. Today, I'm going to focus on that second category, sight reading apps or websites designed to help you improve your ability to play music at sight at the piano. In this video, I'm going to go over 4 sight reading apps: Piano Marvel, Sight Reading Factory, the Read Ahead app, and RCM Sight Reading and Ear Training. So let's get started. First up is Piano Marvel. Piano Marvel is a very powerful and effective online app. I love this app. When you log into Piano Marvel, you'll see 4 main areas of the app you can go to. There's a music library. There's a progressive method series where you can work step by step to actually learn fundamentals of how to play the piano. And there's a technique section that has a lot of progressively harder exercises where you can work on ear training, rhythm, scales, arpeggios, harmonization, and so forth. And then they have a whole section of the app that's dedicated to sight reading, which is what I'm focusing on in this video. The cool thing about the Piano Marvel app is that you can connect your tablet or laptop to a MIDI keyboard, which then allows the app to communicate with your instrument and assess whether you're playing accurate notes and rhythms. It does this by actually tracking which notes you play correctly and which ones you play incorrectly on your instrument, and then the app assesses you a percentage score for how accurate you were. I had the chance to try the MIDI-connected Piano Marvel app out at the recent National Conference on Keyboard Pedagogy in Chicago because I do not have a MIDI keyboard in my house. And so when I first saw how that worked together with the electric keyboard, I have to admit, it really kind of blew my mind. When you open up the sight reading portion of the app, you can take what they call the SASR, which stands for Standard Assessment of Sight Reading. This is a sight reading test that helps you find the right level for you. To take the SASR, you play an excerpt into the keyboard, and the app will detect what notes you missed, and then it'll give you a score and find the right level for you to practice your sight reading. Now, you can take this test with an acoustic piano, which I've done at home, and it's not quite as satisfying of an experience because Piano Marvel doesn't actually listen to an acoustic instrument and mark the notes you got wrong. And so you have to self-assess your level. The app will then feed you one sight reading excerpt after another just to practice your sight reading. They have a huge library of actual pieces that you can use to practice. In addition to all of these components, Piano Marvel has a ton of other features. If you want, you can keep track of the number of minutes you've practiced, and you can get a practice streak going and track that in the app too. They also have challenges from time to time that you can participate in. So I can't say enough good things about Piano Marvel. I really think it's fantastic. I wouldn't replace an actual teacher with it, but it's a great supplement to lessons. This app would be great for adult learners who want to go back and relearn the piano after some years away. And it's also good for teachers who want to give their students supplemental practice between lessons. It's especially good for learners who do have a MIDI keyboard because you can connect it right up and see results. Piano Marvel is a paid subscription, and I can put an affiliate link in the description below for you to get a very small discount if you decide to try it out. Some teachers include a Piano Marvel subscription in their lesson fees for their students as a materials cost. The next app I'm going to talk about is called Sight Reading Factory. Sight Reading Factory is an app that generates sight-readable music for you every time you use it. Unlike Piano Marvel, this is a sight reading app for many different instruments. So when you log in, you're going to have to select the instrument you're going to do your sight reading on in order to get exercises composed specifically for your instrument. After you choose your instrument, you can choose a level ranging from 1/2 all the way up to level 8. And from there, you're going to customize your sight reading exercise. You can choose a time signature, and then you can choose a key signature. And then after you've determined parameters, you can either do what they call free play or challenge mode. If you use challenge mode, it gives you 30 seconds to look at the piece before you play it. And then after your 30 seconds are up, it counts you in, and then you can start playing. Now, the interesting thing about Sight Reading Factory is that it actually composes the exercises on the spot based on those parameters that you entered. Like Piano Marvel, you read the music directly from the app, and so it works best if you have a tablet or a laptop you can put on your piano. You could read it from your phone, but the notes are going to be quite a bit smaller, and because you're sight reading, you want to give yourself every advantage you can. This app is great for people who want to practice sight reading and customize the exercises for themselves. It would be good for teachers to use in lessons with their students and students to use to practice sight reading on their own, trying different variations of exercises with similar parameters. So for example, if you're playing a new repertoire piece in 3/4 time and in the key of E major, you can go to Sight Reading Factory and you can practice sight reading a lot of exercises with that key signature and time signature at approximately that playing level just to gain experience and confidence playing in that key. One advantage of Sight Reading Factory is that you can get unlimited excerpts because AI composes them for you. You will never run out of examples to practice. However, the flip side of that is that the exercises are not always going to be particularly pianistic because they were written by a machine. Also, you're not going to get samples of different musical styles that come up frequently in the music, such as waltz or a gigue, or a character piece, or a sonata selection, or a fugue excerpt. And part of learning music goes beyond just learning notes and rhythms. There's a lot to learn about form and style as well. Sight Reading Factory is a paid subscription. It has a free demo that you can use to just check it out and go through 20 exercises. And I should have mentioned that Piano Marvel also has a 7-day free trial. So you can check these apps out before you decide if you're going to subscribe. I think part of the reason there are so many different apps is because there are so many different learning styles, and what is right for somebody might not be the right app for you. So you have to try out a few different apps and see what works well for you. The next app I'm going to talk about with you is called the Read Ahead app. This app helps you practice different facets of sight reading separately from each other. It focuses on honing your memory, and it focuses on teaching you how to find your way around the keyboard while keeping your eyes on the music. And it also focuses on reading ahead of where you are in the music, which is why it's called the Read Ahead app. The sight reading excerpts that they provide are music from actual repertoire, just like in Piano Marvel, and they're not composed by a computer. So the way the app is organized is that each practice session is called a day, and each day has 3 pieces and exercises to work on. The first 2 pieces for that day contain exercises that are going to help you improve at specific aspects of sight reading. Sometimes that's going to include warm-up exercises to help you prepare for them. The third piece is a piece to just practice on your own without any additional prompts. The Read Ahead app includes a few things about it that I really love. They have these really cool exercises where the music disappears as you play it, which really forces you to read ahead. Also, they have short-term memory exercises where you see music just for a short moment and then it goes away and you have to play it just by using that short-term memory. I love this because it really makes you develop your short-term memory, which is helpful in learning how to sight read fluently. Each level of the Read Ahead app has about 100 pieces and about 50 warm-up exercises in it. And unlike the other 2 apps that I've spoken about so far, you purchase Read Ahead 1 unit at a time. And so that makes it more like an online version of a sight reading book. This app would be really helpful for teachers to use with their students because you purchase 1 level and then you can work on that in your lessons with your students for the first few minutes of the lesson. Or it would also be helpful if you are an independent learner and you especially want to focus on practicing feeling your way around the keyboard without looking and these short-term memory exercises which force you to look ahead. The next online resource I want to share with you is called RCM, Sight Reading and Ear Training. Now, RCM stands for the Royal Conservatory of Music. It's a program that originates and is based in Canada. And this sight reading app supports their system of exams. It is basically a way to practice and review the sight reading component of their exams. But you don't have to be taking their exams in order to benefit from it. This is a relatively new program, and up until now, they've had a series of books. They still have it. It's called 4-Star Sight Reading. And this appears to be an online version that you can subscribe to that has interactive components of sight reading and ear training that help you prepare for their exams. Within the program, there are 9 levels of ear training and 8 levels of sight reading, and each of them appears as its own course. And so what you do is you find the level that you're taking the exam in or that you're playing at, and then you go into that part of the portal. And then within that level, they're going to have 3 different modes. They're going to have guided practice, they have independent practice, and they have exam experience. And so you're going to want to start off with guided practice because that has the most interactive support. Within guided practice, you can do rhythm reading or sight playing. If you choose rhythm reading, what they'll do is they'll show you a short excerpt and then they give you a lot of prompts and mini exercises to do that help talk you through the example. For example, they'll ask you to write or highlight or circle things in the score in order to draw your attention to them. At the end of the various exercises, once you've gone through all of those exercises, you're asked to clap or tap the rhythm, and then you can record yourself and compare that recording that you made with their example. From there, you can assess yourself and give yourself a score, which then is saved in their system, and you can over time track how well you're doing. If you choose the sight playing, they show you an excerpt and then they'll give you a series of prompts to talk you through preparing to sight read the selection, as opposed to in the rhythm section where you were supposed to tap or clap the rhythm. The prompts in the sight reading section have to do with meter, rhythm, patterns, intervals, and so forth. Once you've gone through the guided practice section, you can move into the independent practice section where it gives you different excerpts and it asks you to still do those preliminary exercises before you read them. And again, with those, you can self-assess. And then once you've gone through all of those examples, in the exam experience portion of the module, the staff is going to appear blank at first until you press the little timer, and then that makes the excerpt appear, and you have 30 seconds to study the score before you play it. Now, this is a really good app, obviously, for somebody who's preparing for the RCM sight reading examinations and who wants to be talked through the experience of everything to look at before they start sight reading a piece. It's very effective in its questions, and it really does a very good job of talking you through the experience. Another thing that's really good is that it has so many reminders and opportunities for you to evaluate yourself. And that can really be helpful for teaching you how to listen to yourself and assess your own playing and make you less dependent on a teacher or somebody from the outside to give you feedback. Besides the 4 sight reading resources that I shared with you today, there are many more out there. And of course, it's not possible for me to cover them all in a single video. And my focus is teaching at the university level. And so the sight reading resources that I am most interested in sharing are the ones that apply to learners at the intermediate level and up. You might use sight reading resources of your own, and feel free to put them in the comments because I'm always eager to hear about other options. Now I'm going to share a little personal anecdote. I am a runner and I've been running for many years. I like to do races and I find the races very motivating for my own training. And yet, even when I have very concrete goals laid out throughout the year and I know exactly when the races are going to take place and how long they're going to be, I don't always manage to stick to my training schedule. And so I just want to say to you about sight reading that just like exercise, the most important thing about sight reading, if you want to improve, is to actually do it. Don't waste a lot of time trying to optimize it. Don't wait around looking for the perfect app or the perfect book that's going to help you finally be a better sight reader. The way to sight read better is to put in the time, just like the way to be a better runner is to put in the miles. If you have a pile of music lying around the house, then that's a great place to start. Just pick up that music and start reading your way through it. Another thing you can do is go on to IMSLP, which is a website that I talked about in last week's video, where you can download free music that's in the public domain and you can sight read through that. You could sign up for one of these apps and use that for a while. There are so many ways to do it. In this video, I talked about online sight reading resources. If you're interested in learning about print options for sight reading, check out this video I made up there. I go over different types of sight reading resources in print. Also, please remember to subscribe, like, and share this video. It really helps me out. And I'll see you in the next video. Happy practicing!